Ladies and gentlemen, my name is James. I normally make videos in Chinese, but because of recent what happens in the world, I feel it's necessary for me speaking from the Chinese point of view in English, so that I have a broader audience basis to understand what's happened and how it will end. After 4 years of Donald Trump telling people, especially his MAGA crowd, American first, Joe Biden says American is back. This new slogan sounds just as presumptuous and mischievous as the previous one. It is reminiscent of the warning shouts to all the Chinese villagers of the imminent Japanese military attack during the World War II, when the Imperial Japan invaded China. But this is not just a slogan. It is a war cry that is followed by action. That is why the America led the West hurled the accusation of Xinjiang Genocide at China, and hence the sanctions. The most beautiful and innocent cotton from Xinjiang province is being specifically boycotted. Since the trigger-happy cowboy has fired shots, shall we at least ask the question, even though it was a bit too late? That is there any truth in the accusation? A short answer to that is no, because the three sources the accusation is based upon are following: satellite images, the open source Chinese government documentation, and witnesses' testimony. Now let's see if all these three holds any water. Obviously not. Satellite images from 10,000 meters above can't tell even vaguely if that woman is your grandma, let alone how many wrinkles on her face. Then the open source Chinese government documentation. I doubt any government, even the evilest, would want to admit their crimes, let alone put them on paper and let the public live through it. Which means you are reading between the lines, or simply reading the tea leaves in an effort to smell the herb. Then again, here comes the witness's testimony. I guess everybody nowadays know what does white gloves mean. A bunch of traitor plus beggars who have long left their motherland with political hatred or economical pursuit, or both, have to make a living one way or another. So when there is a democracy and freedom money dangling above their heads, that is motivation enough for them to jump no matter how high. So now, you tell me if the accusation hold any water, if at all. My personal response to that would be, fuck off. Sometimes back, when Donald Trump was still in office, one of his cabinet members told everyone at a conference that the conflicts between China and United States was actually the clash of civilizations. It is us against them. By civilizations, she meant the white Anglo-Saxon culture and the Chinese culture. Oh, by the way, she was black. To hear her saying that It is a white Anglo-Saxon culture against Chinese culture. It's a civilization clash. I cannot help but wondering if she was living on a different planet or simply forgot that her parents, her sisters and brothers, have been under constant attack, mistreatment, and discriminations in that country she then happily offered her services to. What a shame. Well, let's come back to the point. Civilization clash. Mamma mia. This sounds very grand indeed. So let me dig into it a bit, see what this is really about. First of all, I have to really make a compromise and lower my intelligence level quite a bit to agree with her that the United States is a sort of representation of civilization, just for argument's sake. Then the next question would be, what civilization? Some would say Western civilization. Others would say modern civilization. I would say neither. United States represents neither the Western civilization nor the modern civilization. If anything, it represents pirate civilization, or maybe pirate culture would be more proper. We all know United States is a country has so far less than 250 years existence. But Europe as a continent with large scale and different levels of human activities has been there for thousands of years. The so-called Western civilization is derived historically from the different European cultures. The Europeans constitute the Germanic nation, the Gauls, the Celts, the Romans, the Slavic people, the Greeks, the Albanian, the Armenian, the Lithuanian, so on and so forth. And of course, there is this Anglo-Saxon people. Each of these people has their own history and way of living. They are all independent and different. So can you tell me, which of these European nations is represented by the United States? Or maybe you want to tell me it represents them all. Sorry, this is not how logic works. If United States, as you say, represents them all, which equals to representing none. So now we know United States does not represent Western civilization. But then you might beg the question, since nothing comes from nothing, then tell me, where is the hell the United States so-called culture or civilization coming from originally? The short answer to it is Norsemen, or more accurately, Norseman culture. Norsemen were the infamous Vikings. They invaded and colonized the coastal regions of the European continent, as well as the British Isles, from 8th to 11th century. They were hated pirates. Anglo-Saxon people on the British Isles have inherited the Viking customs and traditions in more ways than one. In the same way the Vikings did to their motherland, the Anglo-Saxon people took the boat by the name of Mayflower, invaded and colonized the new continent, and they keep that legacy until this day. That's been the case. We can hardly say the United States represent the so-called modern civilization. Now, let's talk a bit of the other civilization that is said to be clashing with the United States, the Chinese civilization. Chinese civilization has a very long history with a written record of over 3,000 years, with archaeology proven over 5,000 years. The latest discovery being the Sanxingdui archaeological site in Sichuan province. A civilization that is this long and unbroken means it is built by the native people who are born there, live there, and in the end die there. They have to love their land to stay there. They have to feel at ease with the nature to stay there. They have to have faith with their life, with their lifestyle to stay there. They have to feel confident with the environmental challenge to stay there. They have to have respect to themselves to stay there. They are generally honest people, peace-loving people, environment-caring people, kind-hearted people. Last but not least, they are the extremely creative people. It is with these above-mentioned characteristics the Chinese people have built up the longest unbroken human civilization in the world. Now, let's put these two together and make a comparison. America is an immigration nation full of opportunists, and China, on the other hand, is a secluded society full of natives. America is parvenu with malevolent background. China, on the other hand, is an old and unpretentious household. America carries all traits of a lifelong pirate. She crossed the ocean, invaded, and took over the other people's land by force, committing genocide, which reduced the Native American Indian population from the original 15 million to today's 300,000. China expanded her territory by marriage, by shared traditions such as language, social habits, exchanging agricultural know-how, adopting the same political system, and accepting the same school of teaching. Generally speaking, America is egoistical, China modest. America aggressive, China peaceful. America attacks, China defends. Americans conspires, China puts things above the board. American divides, China unites. American monopolize, China shares. American want to be number one, China just want to surpass herself. American kills, China preserves. American destroys, China builds. American lies, cheats, and steals. China tells the truth, plays open, and cooperates. So now, my friends, you tell me, what kind of images coming up to your mind after I have laid out all the facts above? Let me tell you what's on my mind. America, the pirate. China, the farmer. It is the clash between the attacking pirate and the defending farmer. You think which side the history would put their bets on? Personally, I put my bet on the Chinese. because the reasons are many but simple. First of all, China's 5,000-year unbroken civilization does not come for nothing. It has long proven its vitality. China was actually twice in history invaded successfully and therefore ruled by outsiders in Yuan dynasty and Qing dynasty respectively. But you know what? In the end, both northern nomads have been converted into the flesh and blood of today's Chinese nation. During these two dynasties, the ruling nomad tribes were completely shocked and awed by the existing Chinese civilization. The Jin nation and the Man nation, both of which were once the conquerors of the Chinese empire, learned the Chinese political system, the education structure, the philosophy, the language, the food, the commerce, the social norm, the everything. In the end, the conquerors became the conquered. We look back today and see where are those powerful alien empires by the doorsteps of the Chinese nation? Gone, finished, vanished like a breath of air. And United States? It will follow the disappearing pattern, just like them. If they were nomads on the land, America is just the nomads on the sea. They came to China on horses, the America came to China in boats. If history has proven the superiority of the Chinese civilization over those nomads, it will do it again, this time to the United States. Secondly, as I once said in the past, giant countries like China, Russia, and the United States seldom succumbed to an outside force. Their most dangerous enemies are generally themselves. Look at the collapse of the Soviet Union. As the dust of the history has died down, we can all see that the United States didn't actually win the Cold War. It was the Soviet Union lost it themselves. It was disintegrated from inside, not forced to pieces from outside. Now let us look carefully and honestly into the inside of the United States. What you see? Let me tell you what I see. I see the foundation of the nation was unjust and therefore will not stand the test of time because it was built on Native American Indians' blood. And all its founding fathers were slave owners, the super rich feudalists and the capitalists. I see the wealth of the nation was not through honest work, but rather collected through wars and colonizations, albeit a different kind away from its predecessors. I see no shared values between its citizens, and the whole nation has been divided by the identity politics cleverly designed by the ruling class that controls everything from the money printing machines to the school toilets. But this type of cleverness will come back to bite them very soon. I see no unions since day one when the nation was established. Almost every ethnic group, such as the Irish, the Germans, the Italians, the Jews, the Chinese, the Hispanics, the Japanese, and not to mention the blacks, all except the Anglo-Saxon, have been put through all sorts of racial discrimination throughout the American history. And I see the political and social system have so rotten to the core that financial corruption, political prostitution, manipulation of electoral system, deprive of personal freedom, concentration of wealth, droves of money-waging lobbyists, control and manipulation of information, all the sickness a normal country will try desperately to avoid, have been legalized and institutionalized by the ruling class of the United States. I see the highest number of imprisonment, the highest death toll of gun violence, the heinous crimes against the minority, the unimaginable level of drug abuse, and of course, the recent spontaneous insurrection against the deep state establishment claiming election fraud. I see the war zone-like decay of cities and towns all over the United States, where people living below the poverty line. I see the world's most expensive healthcare system designated to serve the very few richest miserably failed its people in this COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, the federal government, together with all levels of state and local governments, stand by doing meaningfully nothing. And up to now, there are over 500,000 dead and more than 30 million cases still counting. I see the unbearable suffering of the world caused by the constant military activities by the will of the American military and industrial complex, which resulted in millions of innocent civilians dead and tens of millions more displaced. Mamma fucking mia! Must I continue? I'm already tired of speaking. All these and many, many more internal and external shenanigans the United States has got themselves into will soon come back to haunt them. All empires come and go. Only the civilization will stay. This is what the history tells us all along. Civilization clash? Yes and no. The more I look at it, the more I'm clear-eyed. The pirates versus the farmers. If you ask me who will win, the European history has already told us. See any Vikings today on the old continent? No, because they have all been driven long time ago to the faraway island called North America. So let me end this video with this slogan. Not make America great again. Not America is back, but rather down with the pirates and support the Xinjiang cotton. Bye everyone. Have a wonderful, enlightened day. I'll see you next video.